Welcome to Web3 Women, where we showcase all the women who are pioneers in this space and their contribution to the Web3 blockchain ecosystem. My name is Olinka Denner, and I am the founder of Black Women Blockchain Council. We're bringing to you Web3 Women to really showcase all the women internationally who are in the blockchain space. Web3, blockchain, crypto, everything that you've heard of. We are here. Women are behind the scenes sometimes, and sometimes leading the charge as we move towards this evolution. And today I couldn't be happier to have Shebytes, also known as Sheena, with me. So Sheena, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Oh, thank you so much, Alianka. Like, I'm so honored to be here, and just you asking me to be in this space has been such an honor. My name is Sheena, and I am a multidisciplinary artist. As far as Web3 is concerned, I'm known for my Kilobytes NFT collection and my Twitter community, The Collective. As far as my work, it spans a pretty wide range because I get a little antsy with my creativity. But I've done pottery and carpentry and digital illustrations, animations, and now this NFT collection. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, thank you very much for joining us. Now, I'm really excited because I got to know you just a little bit, and I'm getting to know you a lot more now. I'm a collector of Shebytes, right? And I saw it on Twitter. I was like, okay, okay, I like this with the grill and everything. I'm like, yes. So tell us, what was the inspiration be?
I feel like the Kilobytes collection, and I spoke about this a little bit in Spaces, it's a celebration of both of my ethnicities. I'm Malaysian, I'm half Black, and I'm half Korean. And I know a lot of folks think of it as half, but I like to think of it as double. I'm double both. So I struggle with that. I struggled with that, especially growing up, as far as feeling like I was in the middle, and not necessarily, I guess, uh, having a sense of fitting in either space. So in this collection, it's my first collection where I felt like I can um, celebrate both together, and it's a mixture. And I feel like that's in a sense a representation of me, where I'm double and I'm mixing everything up and I'm celebrating, and it can be a joyful representation of who I am. And so when I made this collection, there's a lot of traditional Korean, like the inlaid pearl work, as well as it being represented in a grill, which is, in America, it's like a part of hip hop culture, but I wanted to make sure there was an emphasis on this not just being an aesthetic accessory, because I really do feel like a lot of those what I guess society deems as like the showmanship or the pomp and circumstance of hip hop culture is fine art. It just doesn't ever get represented in that way. So to me, it was a way of uplifting both. So
Wow. Wow. If I interrupted you, please feel free to elaborate some more.
no, no, like I really feel like it is very much aligned with um, how I view myself now, where there is no difficulty, where there is no division. And to be honest, as far as being in the Web3 space, I felt an outpouring of support from my Black community as far as these grills and just trying to show up for the culture. And I didn't necessarily feel that from the Asian community. And it's not as if I was surprised. It is more of the same. It's more the same as far as how I move, and how I present, and how I am, how palatable I am IRL.
Hmm.
So when I go to Asian spaces in real life, whether it's like an Asian grocery store or restaurant, oftentimes like I am othered. I may order in Korean, but I'm going to be spoken to in English. and and I understand, I get it because of how I look, but I want to double down, like I said, on the fact that I am both and I'm double, and I want to celebrate, and I don't want any of that to take away from the love that I have for both cultures. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love the dynamics of you trying to show your culture, both sides in your artwork. So my first question to you, well, my second question to you is actually, how did you get involved in NFT? Like, what made you come to the NFT space? You're an artist in your own right, and you've done a lot in different type of mediums, but what made you gravitate towards NFT?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I think I had heard of it online. I'd heard of NFTs online. And I think, like most folks, it was like the headline was like, NFTs are a scam. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, that was around the time where I was writing. I was trying to get my book published, and I had a bunch of publishing houses that were interested. And there was an NFT, a writer who was leaning into NFTs, and I can't remember their name, but the writing community was just like up in arms, just like, no, we can't do that because of this, that, and the other. And I was just like, NFTs. Like it put it into my orbit. Was just like, what is that? And so I looked more into it, and I started to recognize it more as a technology that can, like every tool, can be used or misused or abused depending on who's behind it. And so as I started looking into it, I started, I guess, exploring Twitter and the communities within Twitter, and not really posting anything, just seeing how everybody moved, and recognizing, especially within the Black community, that this is such an amazing opportunity for us to reclaim our heritage and lay stake in it, where it's like nobody's going to appropriate. It's on the blockchain, it's ours, and we can reclaim it, and we can put it out there for other folks to appreciate it. So I really resonated with that. Especially having a son and him knowing that, mommy is like this weird artist and weird creator, but, having something for him that I can show him and my grandchildren and my great grandchildren from years and years after me is an amazing technology. And I think one thing that doesn't get spoken often in artist circles is that as a marginalized artist, it was always my understanding that I can make the art, and I've been making art since I was in middle school, and I've had like a little website where I post my things, but I wasn't really about showcasing my art because there was this resignation that there's no way, you know what I mean? Like there's no way that it's ever going to get into a gallery. There's no way that it'll ever reach that level of recognition because I am not white, and I haven't died tragically. You know what I mean? So it was always this sense that unless I have the canvas in my hand and I get killed on the street somewhere, I'm never going to become a famous artist. And I think that is a reality, unfortunately, for a lot of us Black female artists, where it's just like, man, like what else can I do? How else can I put my work out there? And I think that's one of the things that the naysayers don't take into account, because I've had folks come up to me and they're just like, like, why are you doing this? And I don't understand. And I'm just like, it's clear that the level of understanding for what Black female artists have to go through to get recognition is just not there. Because like I said, like, how else will I make, how else? I mean, unless those two things, it was very evident from a very young age to me that I can create all I want, but it's not as if those halls and those galleries are for me, unless it has to do with my pain. in proximity to my pain. So that's the only thing. I feel like NFTs to me are a wonderful opportunity. And I've already had a few curators reach out to me, and it would have never happened. I staunchly believe that the traditional route is so much more difficult for Black women than it is for other communities, because it's very narrow. That line is very narrow. So especially for me, I don't want to have all of my art be about Black pain, and I don't want to have all of my art have to necessarily be in the shape of the female form. I want to make cool stuff. You know what I mean? I want to make stuff that bites, or stuff that speaks to my love of anime or sci-fi and things like that. So I just felt like the NFT and the Web3 route fit that medium.
Wow. No, you mentioned a lot of the great reasons why NFT has been very favorable to our people and our culture, as well as other marginalized communities. Most of the people who are watching already knows that, art is subjective, right? And there's oftentimes the way that people view art is based on, what it represents to them as individual. And you're right. Oftentimes, what is it? The diaspora art aren't really looked at as favorable. They're looked at as something, kind of like caricature at times. It doesn't really get the same status as Mona Lisa or Picasso type. And so, like you mentioned, NFT is definitely a way for us to now show up in a way that we historically have not been able to do. So I love that. Now, one of the things that I wanted to know is, because you did mention that you stumbled upon NFT because you were writing a book now, or in a book group. I know you also mentioned before we started it that you did write books. So what were your books focused on, and are you still writing a book, and have you released or, published one? Yes.
Yeah, I wrote The Outlier, and it is a Afrofuturistic book featuring, yes, it's a Black female lead and then also a Korean lead. Um, and the Black teenager, she's the one coming from the future. That was the part that was so important to me, because I feel like oftentimes we don't get viewed as the person that is in the future coming back. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not the future. Black and brown people can't possibly be in science fiction, because that's what the mainstream media has always portrayed. So yeah, it's an Afrofuturistic book where the future that she comes from is run by a supercomputer that basically is in charge of reincarnation, and you are judged based off of your past lives. So she has to come back from the future to help her family, but she has to sacrifice another family. So it's just like this weird juxtaposition of like chosen family with sci-fi, and then like this reclamation of what it is to be Black in the future. And I wrote it last year, and I started shopping it around to agents. And I just didn't feel, this was kind of around the time where I was learning about NFTs. I just didn't feel like it was the right timing, even though I had gotten some big publishers on board for it. Um, and I wasn't sure, like a lot of arenas, and you probably are very familiar with this, a lot of arenas that are coming into this fold of inclusivity oftentimes create a checklist of allyship where recompense is up to them. And I just felt like in that space, as far as trying to garner the interest of agents, that there were still gates. There were still gates, yeah. And so I was just like, let me take a break. I hired a developmental editor from Random House, and he looked through it. And right now I'm in the space of, based off of his recommendations, just tweaking it a little bit. And when I feel ready, trying again. And I have agents that are kind of waiting to to hear back from me. But I think that's the part that's so important as far as being a creative in any space,
Mhm.
is that there's always this recognition that we are the first, because we don't, I don't come from a long line of
Yeah.
authors.
Mhm.
That's for a reason. That is for a specific reason. And I think when we lose focus of that context, there's the imposter syndrome. Oh, maybe I don't belong here. And I think that is, whenever I hear of any marginalized person feeling imposter syndrome, I always point out, there's a context to that has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the system that came before you. And so when I get into any system, whether it's Web3 or whether it's publishing, I always try to keep in mind my own process, because there are so many other processes that are working against me, IRL, that are so centralized.
Yeah.
And it's imperative to me to make sure that I always center myself and center my voice. And so I've been entertaining. I don't know if I'm going to publish it on the blockchain. I don't know.
That was my next question, right? I mean, come on, you're already in here, right? So
Exactly.
it would be fantastic, but I do understand, the dynamic right now. There will be a time where things will be easier. It'll be like, I'll publish it on the blockchain. There's nowhere else I'm going to publish it on. But right now, it's still like, iffy. So I definitely understand that. But one thing I want to know is, are you going to do the illustration? And are you going to mint any of the illustration on the block
Oh, you mean like for the book?
for the book? Yes.
Oh, it's a novel. I wasn't gonna have anything but like maybe a few maps in there, but
Okay.
the cover art, I have like a few friends who are interested in doing the cover art for me. So like if it was gonna be on the blockchain, man, I think that's a thing that's so much of a pull for the Web3 space. I would say for anybody who's thinking of dipping their toe in, there's just so much more. When I thought about publishing a book, traditionally, I know that I'm gonna have to go with an agent, and then I get locked into this template of like, they have a illustrator for my cover, right? And then they get to choose, like, as far as the editing, what needs to happen, what are we keeping, what are we taking out. But as far as on the blockchain, I know it's completely up to me. And then I have friends who do AI and they do 3D work, where if I want to make it a dynamic NFT, like Mr. Rectangle is always saying, and after a few chapters, you gain access to a meta world where you can experience that characters. Yeah. I was like, what if you can dive into it like a video game, just walk around and see what they were talking about based off of my vision, and then that helps you unlock the next couple of chapters, and then so on and so forth. So I think that's the thing, as far as being a creative in this space, is that the possibilities seem so much, there's so much more wiggle room
Mhm.
to be creative, and to not only own your creative license, but build upon it in different ways. So I don't know, maybe.
I mean, I'm saying, yo, you have the right mindset and the concept. I think it would be fantastic to incorporate NFTs into that. But hey, you're the expert, right? I know you have everything under your sleeve. I know that there's some things that you probably have going on after kilobytes. Is there anything else that's coming from you that you could whisper in our ears? Let us know. So
Ooh,
be on the lookout.
you want to know some alpha?
Yes.
Um, Let me see. What can I say? um, I have a couple of, like I said, the curators for the exhibitions, and I have a lot of previous work that folks have been asking for me to release as one-of-ones. So I want to do that more exclusively. But I'm thinking of releasing a collection of just a handful of my previous work as NFTs. And then as far as my Twitter community, the collective, it is a space where marginalized communities can come together and kind of get in each other's orbits. Because I know a lot of us are doing the same thing. We're all kind of in our safe bubbles, which I totally understand. When you get into this space and you're not sure where you fit in, you're going to go to your people. So I totally get it. But I wanted to create the collective as a space where everybody can kind of come together and uplift one another and share resources and bounce ideas off of each other. And so I'm super excited. We're supposed to have a poetry space or spoken word space this Friday. But yeah, building that up and making certain that I uplift other artists, because that's the thing that is so important to me. I know I speak about being Blasian and as far as the difficulties of being in between, but I want to make certain that I'm a bridge, because I have a very unique vantage point. And I think another thing that's so important to me is that I'm aware that I'm racially ambiguous. Everybody's always, I get the whole Jeopardy, as soon as somebody meets me, they're like, let me figure out, what are you? I've had people just like, yes. And like, before they say hello, just, oh, I think you're this. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And they're like, are you sure? And so like, yes, it's been a lot. But I understand, like, even though there is I've had some issues just with myself, like trying to navigate my identity. There is still, as far as the system of colorism, it still gives me an unfair advantage. So it's very important to me as an artist that is racially ambiguous to make certain that I always uplift Black women that are darker than me, because the system of colorism does not, I want to negate how that works in this space, especially because we know that uh, the stakes are so much higher for us that Web3 is decentralized. And I want to ensure that I create a space like the collective where I can do that. So yeah, that's like my newest baby, and I wanted to make certain that it wasn't token gated. You know what I mean? I want to make certain that like you don't have to buy a kilobyte, even though they both start with K's, the collective and kilobytes. You don't have to buy a kilobyte to gain access to the collective, because to me, that's not a sense of inclusivity. I think a lot of Web3, there's there's like really cute talk about community, and it's just like, oh, okay, but you're telling me I have to buy this NFT for 1 ETH to get into this community, and I'm just like, I just don't want that to. I think if we're really trying to be in the space of true inclusivity and really uplifting each other, then there shouldn't be. I'm not going to build any gates. That's the main thing. I refuse. I've already had enough gates put in my way already. I've already felt uncomfortable professionally, even going at, passing the gate and feeling uncomfortable because nobody looks like me. So I don't want to build any gates. So that's the main thing, is like, I'm just excited for uplifting other communities of color, like the giveaway that I did with Onaji. And I have something else coming up with Mr. Rectangle, but they're so inspiring to me. And I want to make certain that everybody sees their light and everybody sees their shine and they get all the flowers. It's so important.
Man, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the work that you're doing. So tell us, when can people catch the collective and be part of that?
Oh, well, I mean, there's a Twitter community. I can send you the link. And everybody's always posting and introducing themselves, and any resources or classes that come up in different Web3 communities. They always try to post it in the collective. And I know we have a monthly spoken word space. And I'm thinking about and working on doing artist spotlights as well. But the thing that's so great about the collective is that we have representatives from all different communities. We have representatives from the LGBTQIA plus community, the indigenous community, the Black community, Latinx communities, and we want more. That's the thing. The more, the merrier. And we have a ton of wonderful allies that are helping to uplift our voices. So I think I just want to create a space where we see each other. we're all doing great things, but I want us to be able to be in each other's orbits. So that's what the collective is all about.
Awesome. Man, I love it. I love the concept of the collective. I love the fact that you actually are building a diverse community. And it has a lot of resources for people to tap into. So we're going to post that link in our description so you guys can join the collective and add value to it. I really love everything about you, everything that you're doing. I love the fact that you're using your experiences to improve this landscape because it's really important for us to have a diversity of individuals, of art, of, the mindset in this space because it is something that we're all, community. That word is important to some of us. It's not gatekeeping. To really bring everyone on board so that we can create the type of ecosystem that we want to create, that we want to show up in. And that's very important. Now, let's move into hot topics. Hot topics time. All right. So, a lot has happened these past few weeks. The merge is still a hot topic for a lot of us. Did that impact you as an artist by any chance?
Not necessarily. I feel like, and I just want to preface this by saying that I'm a noob in the space. I've only been in Web3 or Twitter Web3 for maybe like 5 or 6 months. So I'd have to say like my understanding of everything Web3, I think, is still fairly like new and nuanced. But I think a lot of artists and creatives, this is why I say it's so important that folks and investors understand that we are the utility, because a lot of times these fluctuations are not going to change how I create or if I create. I can't stop. I've been doing it, like I said, for a very long time, for decades. So yeah, like I heard about it and I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, all right, that's cool. And I did buy the dip, and I probably will buy some more of the dip as it comes, as folks come in and out, these fluctuations. But I feel like I'm very fortunate in this understanding of my art to value it on its own terms. And I think that's something that I would really recommend for artists that are coming into this space, because I think it's really easy when you see the open sea screenshots that are coming in from other artists, and artists talking about like, I sold out, everything's gone. Like, to get into this current of like, I gotta sell, or my work isn't that good because I haven't sold this piece. I would say that the value is already set as soon as you think about the piece. As soon as it comes into your mind, the value is there because it's you. You created something that if it's not even in this dimension yet. To me, I think of art and the ideas that creatives come up with are from a different dimension. We're pulling it in and translating it into the 3D. So I think the value is already there. And I would say to not get caught up in the fluctuations of whether or not your art is or holds any value based on if someone sold it or not. When I started Kilobytes, the idea was not necessarily to sell everything. To be honest, it was more so I wanted to solidify myself in the space. And I could say, oh, I'm here, I made a collection, and then from there on, kind of leverage that to help other people and help other creatives go through their collections and build. But yeah, I feel like it is so important as a creative to understand that things are going to happen. Web3 moves so fast, and from one day to the next, there's going to be this, there's going to be that. But the most important thing is that you maintain your value, especially if you're a marginalized creator. Always, always, always know that your voice is so important in any space, whether it's within Web3 or IRL, and to not let any system, whether it's any system that you have to live on in the outside world or in Web3, devalue you. So.
I love that. I love that because a lot of people needed to hear that. In this space and traveling through the NFT Twitter, you hear a lot of defeatists, or you see a lot of defeatist comments. And, I know it's out of the frustration of the fact that we're going through a bear market right now and everything seems to have slowed down. Now, for you, what are the things that you're doing in this bear market that you're using to help you prepare for the bull run that's going to come?
I think just positioning myself. I think I want to make certain that there's consistency in how I am projecting what I'm behind. So I understand that there is a need for diversity in the space, and that there are a lot of folks with leverage that are looking for artists that can kind of champion that. So I feel like I want to ensure, when they say, what is the saying where it's like, when opportunity meets preparation, like I
Yeah.
just want to be prepared um, for uh, the chance, the opportunity that if I get tapped, that everybody knows what Shebytes and Sheena is about, and that I bring with me as many people as possible. So that's the thing. I just want to position myself where everybody knows that we're running deep over here. If you're tapping me, you're tapping so many other creators, because
Mm.
I think that's the thing that's so important within our communities, is that the there is this understanding, at least from my position, that the door is cracked.
Mm.
I don't know if it's opening or closing. I
Mm.
think that's historically,
Deep.
historically, as far as my family goes, we came from sharecroppers, we came from slaves. So it's just like, from my vantage point and from my uncle's vantage point and my grandfather's and my great grandfather's vantage points, the door is cracked. I see it's cracked, but who knows,
Mm.
So I know that if I can push myself past it, then I'm going to grab everybody I can to ensure that we all get our flowers, because it's just so important to me. I think that is, in essence, what community is about. And I want to ensure that I'm building a community where everybody eats, everybody gets flowers. So,
Yes, I love it. Everybody needs to eat. Everybody needs to get their flowers. I love your perspective on how things are going to shift and how you're trying to position yourself for that shift. That's fantastic. That's actually the smartest thing that people can do right now in the bear market. Not to give up, but just realize that we're going through like this quiet time right now, right? And sometimes we're grateful for that quiet time because that just means it's about to get really busy. So
exactly.
I'm glad that you're gearing up and putting yourself in the right position. Now it's time for tips. So one of the stuff that we like to hear from our guests is any tips that you may have for either newbies that are coming into this space. There's a lot of people who are outside looking in, trying to figure out whether or not they'll jump into this space. But having someone like you who've already jumped in and is finding success, what type of advice would you give someone?
Oh, that's a good one too. I would say that I'm also a newbie. Like, I was already like, me too. But I think that's the thing that's so great about this space, is that so many things are happening, so many things we have to learn on the fly. And I think the intimidation, and I guess the sense of always continuously learning isn't something that's going to go away. So I just want to say that they're in good company as far as that. And I think that's the beauty of the space, is because we're all doing something. We're all kind of shifting together to build something um, new. And so, yeah, I think there's going to be some uncomfortable spots. There's going to be some learning and some new understandings, but I think it's great. As far as being a creative, like I said before, I came in and I just kind of like sat back and listened and watched and saw, you know, what is everyone doing. And from my background in psychology, I think that to me it almost seems like it's an experiment. We're all kind of engaged in this experiment together, and I just love studying people, and especially in spaces, hearing them speak from one space to another space, from week to week is so interesting to me. But there's a culture that we're building, in essence, that is so different from other Twitter spaces, social media spaces that I've been in. And I think it's important to just sit back and see and just learn, because it is such a different space, before jumping in. And then when you do jump in, find your people, find there's wonderful Black women in blockchain. Y'all helped onboard me. I was just like religiously every week, just like, what the hell is blockchain? I was just like, what is it? And I tried, and I use your um, your spaces to like help onboard some of my family members too. So it's just great to find community within the space, and then from there just build and make certain that you value your work above everything. So yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. I love your advice to people because it's reasonable. It's something that a lot of people are seeking. And just for them to be able to see, another person who's a little bit of a newbie, I don't know if I would even dub you as a newbie at this point. 6 months? Come on, that's a lifetime.
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime. Yeah.
But no, fantastic, because a lot of people are clearly on that fence and they're trying to figure out, whether or not this space is for them, and you giving them some sound advice for them to implement. And I would suggest join the collective, really, seriously. Get involved. There's nothing like surrounding yourself with people who are in the Web3 space, because you gain a lot of knowledge. You gain some insight into what's the proper way of maneuvering? How do you sell your NFT? Which exchanges is working for who and why, and all these things. I mean, these are things that you don't really get from being on the sidelines unless you decide to show up and participate. And there's a lot of great communities out there that's willing to help. Now, I'm loving this. I want to encourage our viewers to go ahead and subscribe. Y'all know you love this. I want y'all to subscribe. I want y'all to tap into Sheena. Sheena, is there a way for people to reach out to you? I know you mentioned the collective with a K on Twitter Spaces. Does the collective have their own Twitter page?
No, it's just a Twitter community right now. And as far as like reaching out to me, I'm at Shebytes underscore on Twitter. And I've got like in my bio, my link tree, all my other links to IG and my websites and everything. But I did want to say a little bit more alpha. I am kind of in cahoots with some of my Asian friends of creating Asian verse. So yes, yeah.
Okay.
So it's something that we're working on right now, and that will definitely be a community that will be tapped into the collective too. So we're trying to make certain that, like what happened to me, and from what I've seen that's happening to other Asian creators in the space, won't happen to any future Asian creators. So we're trying to create that space for them too. So.
I love it. Oh my God. What? Okay, so you really have to come back and talk about that, because I think that's fantastic. Representation really matters, regardless of who you are, what background you are in. You need to be able to see yourself in this space. And we're hoping that eventually you guys will be able to tap in and see so many different women in this space, in this Web3 ecosystem that we're building. And, we will do our hardest to bring them to you through Web3 Women. Sheena, I am so excited that you joined. Really, I want people to tap into you. I want people to subscribe and follow this channel and be able to tap into women just like you who are adding value and building a community. That's one thing I love about us, because we think about people more than anything. We use our own experiences to make sure that the next generation of people who are onboarding they don't have to go through the pain points that we go through. So I thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor. And yes, yeah, I feel like I definitely want to point out also all of your efforts as far as being a woman of color in the space, being a Black woman. I definitely resonate with, yeah, we often get put in these roles where we have to ensure that everybody's taken care of. And I think y'all do such a good job of that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love it. Thank you. All right, everyone. See you next time. Bye.